Welcome to the Amped Inner Circle call. I want to make sure we are good to go. I am recording and I am going, oh, hi, Patty. I am going to hit mute, but feel free to chat. If you have questions as I go, feel free to ask questions. Hopefully I can see those, but I will continue, and walk you through this and then open it up for questions and discussion. So today we are talking about sales. We're talking about selling. I got to make sure my video is on. Just a second. I think it is. Oh my gosh, where do I see that? I gotta make sure that my video is on. Just a second. Oh, there I am. Sorry. Okay. Hi, everybody. Just realized my video wasn't started there. Okay, so we're going to talk about sales. And, you know, this psychologist never ever thought in her wildest dreams would she be speaking on sales, training on sales, or loving sales. But I do now, and I want to help you. I know so many of us struggle in this area, and it just doesn't need to be the case. And really want to help you with a strategy and a vision and an idea and a concept of selling that I think you're really going to love, and I think is going to be a game changer for you in your business, in your lives. You know, selling is anything that we do that really enrolls people into our mission, into our vision, into our shared idea. So it can be anyone from a grandchild wanting us to, you know, take them to the store and get a treat, that's selling, to being on a sales call with our ideal client and wanting to close a high-end coaching package, right? It can be any and all of it. It can be really, it's just such a broad definition. So we all need to learn how to sell. And if you read any of Grant Cardone's work, he is, many people feel one of the best salesmen in the world. Many would argue the best. And he says that everything in life is a sale, and every interaction that we have is a commission. And so what he means by that is, for example, when Garth asked me to marry him, that was selling, and his commission was, I said yes. So everything, Grant Cardone says, is a commission. And when we can understand that sales doesn't necessarily even have to involve money exchanged, it becomes this very interesting idea of really the psychology behind connecting with people and influencing people and persuading people and understanding people so as to enroll them in a shared mission. So let's dive in. So 6 years ago, I'll just tell you very, very briefly, about 6 or 7 years ago, I had a friend and she wanted me to start a network marketing business. And for 6 years, I literally told her, no, I'm not a salesperson, I'm a psychologist. I don't sell, I help people, as if they were mutually exclusive categories. And I look back and I think, Erin, like, you of all people should have understood the psychology of sales, but I just didn't. And this is me winning Professional Saleswoman of the Year of the state of Nevada last October. And it, you know, just to see how far my mindset has come. And that's what I want for you, okay? This is what I want for you. I want you to get out of your own way when it comes to selling and realize that it truly is serving people. So this is my little Zachary, and he was at Lake Tahoe, and he was looking through this telescope, and away across the lake, he saw this boat, and he exclaimed, "I see humans." And if I could define how I view selling in just kind of a nutshell, I would say it's seeing humans and what they need, seeing humans and what they desire, learning to understand and get to know and listen to the people in your life and what they want, what problems they're having, And then you get to come in and solve those problems or help those people or serve those people with your skills, services, goodness, resources, ideas. So it really is, at its heart, the ability to see other humans. You know, when I was in the interview for Saleswoman of the Year, this big board of directors asked me, and they had their pencils and their clipboards, and they were scoring everyone's answers. And they asked me, Dr. Erin, what is your primary lead generator? And I said, coffee. And it just came out. And I said, what I mean by that is I went on 213 coffee dates my first year in business. And as I look back on that, I tell you, not because that's necessarily duplicatable, not that I thought and planned it from the beginning, like I'm going to win Saleswoman of the Year, so I'm going to go on all these coffee dates. No, quite the contrary. I looked back and I looked at how the heck did I win Saleswoman of the Year? And if I traced my path backwards, I noticed, I feel like I've met a lot of humans this year. I feel like I've gone on a lot of coffee dates. And I added them up, and sure enough, I went on 213 coffee dates. And I tell you that not to impress you, but to impress upon you that I got busy valuing people. I got busy learning about people. My goal on a coffee date was to understand the other person and to talk as little as possible. My goal on the coffee date was to listen way more than I talked. My goal on the coffee dates was to understand, what does this person in front of me value, care about? What are they up to in the world? What are their obstacles? What are they struggling with? How can I help them? How can I serve them? And through that, created lots and lots of relationships, connections. Some of them ended up being my coaching clients. Some of them ended up referring me to speak in front of their organizations. But truly, you know, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. When we use it in that ratio and we listen way more than we speak, selling can be quite easy. It can become quite natural. And so the psychologist in me, who has had a history and a career in listening to people, that's a skill that all of you have and can develop even further. And I would venture to say, if you're on this call, you have a desire to help people and a desire to grow yourself. And so this can be your kind of ninja move. This can be your super secret tip, is getting to know people and what's on their heart and what they care about and what they're struggling with. So if I look back, welcome to the call, everybody. I've just muted everybody so that we have a clean recording, and I just got started at 12. So welcome. You know, this is really what I thought sales kind of was like. And I thought it was this pushy, like, show me the money, right? And, you know, quite contrary. So, you know, all those years that I struggled to have this great, healthy relationship with selling, I really had to get over myself. And I know that a lot of you struggle with that too, but you know, money, it's pretty important, right? And a lot of us, because we're in the service industry, we might make up a story in our mind like money's not really that important. But guess what? You're going to be able to help so many more people if you make a lot of more money. Okay. It's really hard to help people when you're your own charity case. I heard someone say that once. I thought that was pretty funny. So money doesn't solve all our problems, but it could sure solve my money problem. So selling is about, you know, making money. We don't want to run out of money because we're going to run out of our mission. So Brendon Burchard, my mentor, he says, you can't sustain the message if you don't make the money. So we've got to keep the money flowing to keep the goodness flowing. Okay. We don't want to be millionaires. And I think a lot of people also fear the success that comes along with making a lot of money. So we might even think to ourselves, well, how am I going to handle being that version of myself that's responsible for that? I had some friends who were at Brendon Burchard's High Performance Academy this weekend, and they sent this great quote that the only thing you fear about something new is the responsibility of that something that's new. That's really the only thing we fear. And I think The good news in that is you're going to level up and become that person as you go and as you grow. You're going to become and level up into the person that can handle the responsibility of more clients, more team, more leadership roles, more money. Okay. So just like, most of the lottery winners who win their lottery are broke and bankrupt within a year of winning it, it's because they haven't been able to kind of rise up into the person that can receive that kind of responsibility. So I want you to know that you don't need to be afraid of that, because you're going to level up as you go. You're going to become the person along the way. And so often we juxtapose ourselves, and we may say, well, yeah, I want to be a millionaire, but that would mean I'd have like all this team, and I don't have a clue how to manage team. And that sounds like overwhelming. And we shoot ourselves in the foot before we even become that. Okay. So we're going to stop being so funny about money. So I will tell you that sales, this was my first hire, Jennifer Darling. And yes, her name's Jennifer Darling, and she's a darling, and she's amazing. And she was my sales coach, because I knew I had a pretty good idea for my business. I knew I had really great skill sets for coaching, but I knew I was really, really poor at sales. And I knew if my business was going to be successful, I had better get to learning about how to sell. And for me, it was a skill set. So if you just feel like you don't have the skills, no one ever taught you this, like that's okay. We're just going to skill up. We're just going to tool up. We're just going to put some tools in the toolkit, right? And I got busy hiring some other coaches. So these are a lot of my sales coaches. Alex Ann Stone, she lives here in Reno. She taught me about sales. Brendan Burchard, I have studied him religiously in terms of how he sells and what he says about influence and how he sells from the stage. And I've taken copious notes, and I've gone to his, conferences about how to sell. And on the right is Jonathan Perez, and he's a friend of mine who's in the 1% Closers group at Grant Cardone. And Grant Cardone's the #1 salesperson in the world. So I bounce off my ideas. So I got just really busy kind of learning how to be good at sales. So if it's not a skill set issue, it might be a mindset issue, and it might be both. So let's look at both ends of that and solve both. Let's solve your mindset around money and sales, and let's solve your skill set. Let's tool up, and let's get our mindset where it needs to be. Here's what I believe when we're talking about sales. I believe the world needs you. I believe you have a gift to share through your business. I believe your business is your vehicle to share that gift with others. So sometimes our business isn't necessarily our purpose on the planet, but it's our vehicle to living out our purpose on the planet, right? So I believe that statistically speaking, when you do what you love, the money follows, although I cannot guarantee that you will get paid, but statistically speaking, they go together really well. And I believe you deserve to be well compensated for the value you bring to the world. That sentence, my friends, I want you to pause if you want, and just write that down for yourself. That's a really great affirmation around money and around service, that you could start to speak those words of life over yourself every day and see how that integrates into your psyche and your belief system. So it would look like this. It would look like, I deserve to be well compensated for the value I bring to the world. I deserve to be well compensated for the value I bring to the world. That is a true statement, and you need to tell your brain that over and over and over again. I deserve to be well compensated for the value I bring to the world. Okay, so you might have all heard this, selling equals serving, and I want you to believe this in your core and in your heart of hearts and to your bones, so much that when you offer your services, the people that are working with you, that'd be an amazing feeling. Like when you truly believed, like, this is a bargain. This is an amazing, amazing exchange between us, that I'm giving you this service, opportunity, product, right? And in exchange, you're giving me your money. And it's just such a win-win for both of us. So let's look at, some philosophers and what they think about money. Deepak Chopra, he says, money is life energy that we exchange and use as a result of the service we provide to the universe. So what if money truly is just this exchange of You've got this thing I want. Awesome. How much is it? Okay, I think that's a great exchange and of my money. So here's my money and you give me your awesome service. Like that's literally all it is. And we've made up this story in our brain that it's something else. Here's the quote I love from Brendan. If you don't make the money, you can't sustain the message. If you don't make the money, guess what happens to your business? Kaputs. Guess what happens to your ability to serve the world? Kaputs. So money is your vehicle to serve more people. It just is. And I even heard someone say to me once, how dare you make that decision for someone else of how they want to spend their money? And I just thought, whoa, like that's such a cool way of looking at it. That what if I got out of my own way and gave you the opportunity to decide for yourself whether you thought my services were something you wanted or not? Not whether I thought I was, taking too much of your money. What if I thought, how dare I make that decision for you? How, the audacity of doing that, right? Okay, so this is how I think about selling. And I've learned to have this very basic definition of it, and it really helps me. It's literally just giving people an opportunity to change their lives by exchanging their money for my services. So the key word there is I'm giving people an opportunity to change their lives through something I have. It's an interesting view of sales, right? I've also heard it said, and I love this quote, I'm just looking for people who are looking for me. And so if your job really is not to base your value of your service product, resources on what people think and what they like and what they don't like, and if they say yes or no, your job is just to offer it. Your job is to just say, hey, I got this thing. Are you looking for this thing? Hey, I got this thing. Are you looking for this thing? Like literally, I got this thing. Are you wanting this thing? You are? Okay, cool. Well, let's exchange. You're not? Okay, cool. Thanks for letting me know. What if it literally could be that neutral? I'm just looking for people who are looking for this. I called up someone a couple months ago. He is the leader of an insurance team. And I said, hey, I'm looking for teams that want to become high-performing teams. Do you know any? And I knew he had a team, and it was strategic on my part. I didn't know if he'd say yes, though. And he goes, well, yeah, every team wants to be a high-performing team. I want my team to be a high-performing team. I said, awesome, let's talk. I just landed a $6,000 coaching deal with him to come in and speak to his team about high-performance habits. I'm just looking for people who are looking for what I got. But guess what? I had to tell him I got something and see if he wanted it. Now, there's another organization that was like, I don't know if we're looking for that right now. Cool. I just needed to tell you about it. That's my job. Another definition of selling is find a need and fill it. And this is where I think it's fun to think of ourselves as kind of like Santa Clauses. So I say sales is one part Santa Claus and one part doctor. This is what I mean by this. One part Santa Claus is, I'm Santa Claus, I've got this bag of gifts. This is my bag that I'm holding in the back of my, I've got this bag of gifts. And what does Santa Claus do? The first thing when you get to meet Santa, he doesn't tell you about why you should want the things in his bag. He doesn't be like, let me tell you about everything that's in here and why it's so amazing and why you should have it. No, he says, what do you want? That's it. Sales is first asking, what are you looking for? And then I get to go and say, well, let's see if I have that in my bag. And if I do, what a gift that I can give that to you. Oh my gosh, I help people with that. I would love to help you with that. Or I don't have that in my bag, but my friend Mary does. Let me introduce you to her, right? So it's one part Santa asking what they want. And the second part, one part doctor, which is recommending. Oh, you want that? Oh, this is what I would recommend. I would recommend you hire me and I will help you with that, right? You want to become a professional speaker? Oh, well, that's what I do. I would love for you to learn about my coaching program to speak. So one part Santa, one part doctor. Okay, if you look at the Webster Dictionary, I find this fascinating that one of the definitions of sales has to do with an exchange of money, but all the other definitions have nothing to do with money. So truly selling is to onboard, to persuade, to convince, to enroll, to get people to adopt your ideas, to exchange money, to exchange, right? Energy, to trade, to transfer. You're looking for this thing? I got this thing. And I hope that neutralizes it for you. So let's just get this out of the way. So many people struggle, and I did, and it's okay if you are, with, am I really an expert? And do I really deserve to be paid all this money? And, really, I don't have the PhD, or I've only been doing coaching for 2 years. Who am I? I mean, I had to start when I was, one day. I've never been doing coaching. So, many of us have to start at a place where we're kind of questioning our credibility. And this is the good news. Can't remember what my next slide is. Oh, good. I was hoping it had to do with this. Okay, so this is the good news. The definition of an expert can be about your credentials, and it can be about all of that, but it also can be about some other things. Your definition and your credibility as an expert doesn't necessarily have to be about you and your past and your qualifications. It has to do, it's about your qualifications of leading people through or to somewhere that they want to go. So your qualifications and your credibility is your ability to solve that person's problems. So when I started as a coach, I remember telling my friends, so I just say I'm a coach? That just seemed ridiculous to me. I've never been a coach. And my friend's like, Erin, you've been a psychologist for 16 years. Of course you're a coach. And I had to just reposition, oh, my credibility wasn't that I had a certification from the International Coaching Federation or something. It was oh, my ability to coach is my ability to have a perspective on something and solve people's problems. Okay? So your credibility is not about you, it's about what you can do for others. And I just think that's such great news. And this is what people pay for. They pay for two things. They pay for perspective, your perspective, and they pay for speed. That's what people pay. And the more perspective and the more speed you can give people, the more you will get paid. I always say I'm like the fast pass at Disneyland, but I'm like the fast pass for your business. And I say that to give people this very visual analogy, metaphor, don't know which one it is. But it gives people an idea of oh yeah, I want to go fast and I want to have an enjoyable ride. So they're going to pay you for your perspective and your speed. Okay. This is such a great idea. This is going to change everything. So this is what you can do today. What you can do today is do a little market research. And this is my pro tip for doing this. I want you to all go onto Facebook or wherever you go. And I want you to ask one question. And the question is going to be about the solution you offer. It's going to be about the business or the skill that you offer. And I want you to ask your people, what's their number one struggle with that thing? Or what's the number one difficulty of that thing? Let me give you an example. If I'm a coach for entrepreneurs, so I just went on and I said, what do you think is the biggest challenge for entrepreneurs? And my people came out of the woodwork and they gave me the answers. And I will tell you what, my friends, it is sales gold. It is marketing gold. Their answers are my next sales script. Their answers are my next, sales page, my email, my everything I talk about when I speak. So when my people came out of the woodwork and said things like, oh, the number one problem for entrepreneurs is themselves, fear, confidence, getting in their own way, being overwhelmed, discipline. That's everything now that my program solves. And it always was, but I can use the language of my clients. So some of you have, and you want to speak the language of your clients. Some of you have home-based online businesses, for example. You could ask, what's the number one struggle of having an online business? What's the number one struggle of working from home? What's the number one struggle of direct sales? What's the number one struggle you have in losing weight if you're a health and wellness coach? So you get where we're going here. So one of my clients is an online business coach. She helps people emerge online. So she goes on yesterday and gets all her answers from what people said. And now she gets to solve all those problems. I hope that makes sense. It's really, really a powerful exercise, because here's what I want you to realize is you need to monetize your mission. So you are selling the problem that you solve, not the product. Especially, my friends, if you're in network marketing or direct sales, no one gives a hoot what company you're in. They're signing up for the transformation that your opportunity can give them. Okay, no one cares necessarily what the Amped Inner Circle was called. I just called it something, but you came for a reason, right? No one cares the name of my snazzy new coaching program. They want to know, what's it going to do for me? So I want you really thinking about that. People don't buy information, they buy transformation. So this is another exercise that I want you all to do. That's a game changer. So I want you to think of making 2 columns. And the first column are all the problems that your ideal clients have. And just brainstorm it and brain dump it. Get it all down, all the problems. And here's the problem. Most marketing and most selling stops there. People talk about the problem. But what you need to do is you need to do column 2, which is, what are their aspirations? You know, when you're selling, you're an influencer, and you need to influence people how to think about, oh, this is that thing you want that you don't even know is possible. This is this dream inside you that you haven't really thought about for a while because you just don't even know how to make that happen. Oh, this, and when you can speak to people's aspirations, like I, for example, could say, do you dream of making more money without compromising your health and your relationships and getting some time back in the process? Do you dream of that happening, right? Yes, I dreamed of that, right? So those are their aspirations. So if you can speak to people's problems and then aspirations, you will paint a picture of how you solve that problem and you provide that transformation for people. Okay, so when we really look at selling and sales, I just want to make sure that you're all with me still. Are we good? Some of you are like paused, so I want to make sure I'm not paused, because that would be just awful, right? So is everyone good? Can you still see me and hear me? Can you go to the chat room and give me a thumbs up? Hopefully I'm not paused like you all might be. Oh, great. Thanks, Patty. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so selling really is influence, right? So we have to understand, how do we influence other people? What's the psychology behind that? And if we look at really successful people, by definition, they have influence. And they have healthy influence, okay? And we also know something about high performers. So high performers, remember, are in the, they have success above standard norms over a long period of time, and they have awesome relationships and positive feelings like joy, confidence, and engagement, okay? So high performers have really healthy relationships, which is interesting, right? And they have influence, which means they've understood how to really connect with people. So let me give you a definition of influence here. Influence is the ability to shape other people's beliefs and behaviors as you desire. It means you can get people to believe in you or your ideas, buy from you, follow you, or take actions that you request of them. Okay, so when we think about influence, let me describe it this way. If you look at John Maxwell's work, and he is quite arguably the #1 leadership coach in the world, he says that leadership at its core is influence. But if you back it up one step even more, the only way to have influence is through connection. So if you look back and you're like, Dr. Erin went on 213 coffee dates, And she went from not knowing anybody 2 years ago to being literally in her inner circle. Like, I didn't know anybody who's in my life right now, really. And I go and become saleswoman of the year. Okay, how did I do that? I became someone that was really good at connecting with people, and a lot of people. And when I became good at connecting, right, it increased my influence, which then gave me some, by definition, leadership. Okay, so I'll back that up just very quickly again. John Maxwell said leadership is simply influence, and influence is only received and come by through connection. So we want to think about, not only who is feeding into you, but who are you the influencer of as well. So really looking at influence. One of my ninja pro tips, so to speak, when it comes to selling and having influence is invite yourself to the party. And what I mean by that is, again, I look back at my journey this far, and I became someone that got good at asking for what I wanted. And so it would look like this, I'm a speaker and I looked at your organization and it seems like what I offer could add value to your community. I would love to explore that option with you. So doing a little bit of my own research, right? It has to be truthful and authentic, that I truly believe I can add value to their people or their mission, right? But then asking, like, who could I talk to about adding value to your community? Who do you know that I need to know? Who do you know that I could talk to about my mission of helping 10 people lose 10 pounds by the summer? I am on mission to helping people get healthy. If that's an example, right? So asking people to help you is a really, really successful thing to do. And your ability to ask for people to help you is kind of related to your ability to receive. So John Maxwell talks about this as the law of the lid, and that your ability, your level of success will be limited and will be kind of in correlation to your ability to receive. And that's what I'm saying with the lottery example, right? When all those lottery winners lose their money, they haven't increased the lid. They haven't leveled up their ability to receive. So working on that is really, really important. So if we look at the research, estimate people's willingness to help us. We think they're going to say no, when most of the time they say yes, and most of the time they really mean it. They really want to help. People really love helping people. We also overestimate that people will judge us or reject us. Okay. And here's some interesting data. Once people help you, they are even more likely to help you and sing your praises and champion you. So my first event that I led, let's see, I think I had a team of 3 friends volunteering that helped me. Now I have a team at my events of 20. I had to become a person that could receive the help of many. And these people that help me, it is their joy to help me. And they will sing my praises, and they will sell for me, and they will get people to come to my events. And I tell you, my friends, when you have other people championing for you, advocating for you, there is nothing sweeter. There is nothing that touches your heart more than that. It is such a beautiful experience, and I want that for all of you. So let people help you. Gary Vee is a very successful entrepreneur, and you might not like his language, you might not like his vibe, but he has this book called Jab, 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 Right Hook. And it's really his idea of how to do social selling, which is how to sell on social media, right? And I just want to speak to this briefly, that the idea of the jab, 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 right hook is, imagine you're a boxer and you're in the ring, and you're in a fight. You're not, you're dancing around and there's a lot of like jab, jab, jab. And every so often there's a hook, there's a big, right? There's a big punch or a big hook. And he says to think about the jab, jab, jab as the the points where we add value to the marketplace, the points where we add value to the person at the coffee date across us. The jab, jab, jab is all the value you're adding to people, all the connections you're making with people. And every so often, after many jabs, then you can probably go in for the sale, or you can probably then have enough connection and you've added enough value to be able to legitimately say, without being spammy and salesy, right? To be able to legitimately say, hey, I got this thing. Are you looking for this thing to sell, right? So you can even use this great ratio for your social media, that for every 7 posts, so if I'm posting once a day, for every 7 posts, I am only going to do a true sales or kind of marketing, propositioning, prospecting kind of post every 7th post. So 6 days a week, I'm going to add value. I'm going to inspire, educate, or entertain. That was a lot of information there, but your posts can be inspiring, educating, or entertaining. Those are like the 3 categories: inspire, educate, entertain. And then every 7th one is kind of a great ratio, they say. You do a sale. So today was one of my hooks posts. So today I went on and I said, I told a story about how I become a speaker, and I shared that I have a speaking coaching package, and I have 2 people that have already reached out within an hour of that post saying, I want to learn about your coaching package. Excuse me. And then I get to go and prospect them and go straight into the sales conversation. Like, this is what it is. This is what it costs. Are you interested? Right? But you can see that if I was selling every single day, that would be really annoying, right? And so you really want to think about this when you're interacting with people. Like, you've got to add value. The person who adds the most amount of value in this marketplace wins. I'll say that again. The person who adds the most amount of value in this marketplace wins. So I just love that. I just love that analogy. Another thing that I want you to really think about as you're influencing and connecting with people is to manage your energy. So high performers have energy, and it's not a fake energy. It's not a circus act kind of level energy. It's true energy. But I want you to think about, who would you rather have coffee with on this slide, right? The guy on the left or the guy on the right, right? So every time before I'm meeting with someone, I set an intention for myself. It's a high performance strategy, right? Of what energy am I bringing to this interaction? I am responsible. You are responsible for the energy that you bring to your relationships. And, you know, we need to really have that be an authentic, high level of beautiful energy. You know, the highest performing, successful people have generous amounts of energy. So much joy and energy that it's generous, and they're generous with their energy. And if you struggle with that, I talked about energy last month, I believe, in the Inner Circle. So go and watch that training, and I hope it really serves you well. And this is a great phrase that always has helped me as well. I like to say, be interested, not interesting. So again, focus on listening way more than you talk. Be interested in people. A successful coffee date is where you have talked very little. That's how I view it. A successful speaking engagement for me is when I get up on stage and people are like, oh, I had no idea she was the speaker, because I'm getting to know you. And guess what? When I'm listening, I can weave that into my speeches, and it becomes a way better talk as well. So it's all good, folks. And then these are 2 questions to ask when you're networking. So if you want to network like a ninja, this is basically, have this be your default. When you're asking people, you ask them like, oh, what do you do? It's like, well, who do you serve? And what are you up to in the world? What are you excited about right now in your life? It can be a variation of, you know, that. And then the second question is, and how can I help? What do you need? I never leave a conversation with someone without saying, how can I help you? What's next for you? What can I do for you? Because guess what? It's not why I do it, but a result of that is, guess what they're going to say to you? Oh my gosh, how could I help you? And I want you to be ready for the answer to that question as well. So part of your homework is being ready to answer when someone asks you, how can I help you? What do you need next? I want you to be prepared to answer that question. I want you to be prepared to say, thank you so much. Actually, you could help me by this. Or I'm so thankful you asked. Right now, I'm on mission to help blah, blah, blah. Can you help me? Who's one person you know that blah, 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 right? So be ready for that. But when you ask people, how can I help you? They're often going to kick back that question to you. So it kind of just ends up being an awesome thing all around. Here's the thing we know about high performers is if you are going to be a leader and an influencer and a highly successful person, you are going to need to be a champion for others, for dozens of people. And here's the thing, you're going to need dozens of people to champion you. Okay, it's just how it works. And it's such a fun way to do life. So again, that's all good. Okay, we have the saying in our family, find your Garth, because he's just the best thing that's ever happened to me. And he always answers, I'm right here. And so we made these cute little shirts. But I want you to think about the people who are influencers in your life. There's some things that they've done. They've taught you how to think about things. They've taught you what to pay attention to. They've taught you how to think through, like, if this happens, this might happen. If you don't do this, this might happen. Have you thought about it this way? Have you ever noticed this? They're teaching us how to think about things. The other thing influencers do is they role model the way. So you want to ask yourself, as you're thinking about wanting to increase your sales, am I role modeling the way? Am I the leader that I would want to be led by? And then, of course, I got Garth's mother a shirt, and it said, I made Garth. So if we look at Garth, he was highly influenced by her in the most awesome, beautiful ways. So I want you to realize, again, that influencers teach us how to think about things. They have traits. They have traits that they teach us to emulate or be like, and they role model the way. That's what influencers do. So ask yourself, are you doing that? Who are you influenced by? Do you like the answer to that question? All right, now let's dive into my 4-step sales method. Here's the real, meat to my sales process. And I hope you really enjoy this. Your energy level has gone up listening to me, Patty. That is so sweet. Thank you so much. Okay, so before we even get into a sales conversation, I want us to think about, before we are persuading people, we actually need to think about persuading them. So we need to think about these steps before we're actually talking to people of what we need to be orienting to and what we need to be thinking about before we go into our sales conversations. Sales conversations are just where we're talking about what we have, seeing if they're looking for that, and then closing the sale, right? The first thing we want to think about is so obvious, but so many of us miss this. Before I get on any of my sales calls, I need to be very clear with myself. What is the outcome I desire here? Do I want to enroll this person into my one-on-one coaching package? Yes, probably. When I know something about them and I know what is the outcome of this sales conversation. And if you don't know, like, what's the clear thing that you want to have happen, it's going to be really hard for you to direct the path to make that happen. And it's, again, seems so obvious, but so many people, they don't even think about this. They go into their sales conversations kind of willy-nilly and leading it to randomness. And we're not going to do that here, okay? I want you to know exactly what your offer is. So I'll give you an example. I could go in kind of loosey-goosey into my sales conversations. At the end, I could be like, well, we could coach together. Like, we could talk about coaching, and I think it'd be really great to coach you. Or I could say, I have 2 options, and I'm going to tell you about the one that I think is the best for you. So that was, remember, the doctor part, 1 part Santa, 1 part doctor. The doctor part recommends, and I'll say, I would recommend my premium one-on-one coaching package, which is 12 weeks. It's my advanced curriculum. We go through blah, 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 and I could list off. I would say, that's what I would recommend. Are you interested in that? Let's get you going, right? That would be my offer. So see, it's much easier for people to land when they have train tracks to go in, so to speak, right? You want to be super, super clear about exactly what your offer is. You also want to really think through, why should they go with you? You've got to be able to answer why you. what makes you different, what makes you unique in the marketplace, because they're going to be wanting to know. And then I want you to have some objection killing metaphors in your pocket ready to go at all times. What I mean by this is I want you to think of some metaphors that you can use that give your prospects a visual kind of image. Visual metaphors are the most successful and most persuasive when we're talking sales. So let me give you an example. So in my coaching calls, I might say something like, let me explain it this way. If you were going on an African safari and you've never been there and you've never been to Africa, and you really want to get all the good sights, like you want to see the lion and the giraffe and you want to see them all their glory, and you don't want to get eaten alive in the process, you're probably not going to just start walking in the, savannah and just hope for the best. You're probably going to hire a tour guide, right? The tour guide that knows exactly where to go. They know the time of day that the lions come out. They know where they roam. They know how to not get you eaten alive, right? I'm kind of like a tour guide, but for your business. So let my expertise, my years and years of experience, my thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in my education, all the coaches that I've had, let me spare you getting eaten alive. Let me be your tour guide for your business. Do you guys love that? Is that not so great? So using find a visual metaphor that you can use that helps people think about you visually and think about you in metaphor. Okay. So if you want to run those by me or the group, make sure you have a couple of those that you can use. I'll give you another example. I have a self-care coach that I hire, and she often says things like, think about your iPhone. Even an iPhone needs to be charged or what? The battery goes. And it's really hard to live without your iPhone, right? So just like an iPhone needs to be recharged every day, so do you, so that you can stay functioning and at your best, right? So how are we going to recharge your batteries? So that's another example of an objection killing metaphor, right? We don't want you to stop working, right? We don't want you to go dead, right? And then we need to know, why do human beings say yes? So let me walk you through the triggers, the psychological triggers. What we know from research is why people say yes. There's 8 mental triggers of why people buy stuff and say yes. Okay. I'm going through all this super fast, but we've got this on recording. So I hope that you don't mind how fast I'm going. The first is novelty. Human beings love new. We just do. It's like, why do we need the new Apple iPhone 10 XYZ? It's not because our old one is just so horrible and doesn't work. No, it's because they want us to buy another one, right? We love having the newest stuff. So you've got to talk about your stuff in a way that's new. Now, it can even be new in that maybe you've never talked about it. Like, I coach people on speaking, but I've never talked about it as my Speak to Success coaching package. So I can say, truthfully, I have a new speaking coaching package called Speak Your Way to Success. I can't wait to share it with you. Be one of the first to go through my proven system to create your signature speech that sells from stage. Like, I can say that, and it's true. Human beings love new. Utility. You've got to be able to answer and show people how doing your program or buying your product is going to actually change their life and be useful. Okay, what is going to happen in their life as a result of them working with you? We've got to speak to and kind of calm down and be nice to people's pride and ego. And what I mean by that is we have got to speak some way to validate that people have already tried to solve this problem that they're trying to solve with you, because most of the time they are. So if you hop on and you're like, I have this simple 4-step system that will change your whole entire business, the person on the receiving end, their pride and ego is going to say, but I've tried everything, so I must just be stupid. Or I didn't think I was lazy. Like, why is this easy solution out there? I've been struggling with this for 9 years and I've spent lots and lots of money. So you've got to speak to that. You've got to say things like, you know what? I know you've tried so many things and I just want to commend you for being so persevering, for not giving up on your goals. And I want to tell you that it's not your fault. You haven't known how to do it any other way. And you've tried other programs and you didn't know that marketing strategy that they were teaching you was not what they said it was. And you just didn't know. Like, you've got to speak to their pride and ego and kind of, right, make sure they feel okay about that. And if you don't, people will feel like that they don't want to feel lazy or dumb. They want to feel like, I've been struggling with this. I've tried. I've been trying to be a resourceful person and figure this out. They want you to speak to that. Okay. Popularity. You've got to think, human beings love to do what other people are doing. They do not want FOMO, fear of missing out. So if you can speak to this is gold. You can be like, this is what this person over here did, and let's do it together. And all the cool kids are doing this. I mean, you got to kind of speak to that. Aspirational connections. This means you got to think about, who do your clients look up to? Who do they aspire to be? And then you've got to link up that those people they aspire to be, they also did what you're trying to teach. They also did what you believe in. They also, right? So I might, if I'm a financial advisor, I would probably have stories about Warren Buffett. And I would probably say, okay, if we look at Warren Buffett, he's, by all intents and purposes, very, 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 very smart about money, right? He did this. I also teach people how to do that. So you can also be like Warren Buffett. So that's kind of the logic of that. So figure out who your clients aspire to be like, who they look up to, and then link that up to what are those people doing that's similar to what you're doing. Benefit extension. This is a phrase coined by Brendon Burchard a long time ago. But if you can get people to understand that the benefit of working with you not only helps them, but when they reach their goals, it's going to extend to other people that they care about. So if you can get me to realize that if I can build a successful business, not only am I fulfilled, but now my children can reach their goals. My children can go on the vacations they want. My husband can stop working such long hours, or whatever it might be. If you can get me to understand that by me reaching my goals, it helps other people that I care about in my life have happiness, that's gold. Okay. So help people understand. So you can, in my sales calls, I'll often say, so like, let's think about, if you reached this goal, if you created this business you desire, like you just said, you're married and you have these, beautiful children, and what would it mean for them if you reach this goal? And they will tell you. When you can get your clients to understand that the benefits extend to other people, they will more likely enroll. All right. Human beings respond to scarcity. And so I am a fan of telling the truth. I am not a fan of telling lies. So I don't like it when there's kind of this bait and switch. Of the sale ends Friday night at midnight and it doesn't really end. I want you to be truthful, but I want you to figure out how to set up some scarcity. So I'm going to Canada this weekend, for example, and I'm speaking. There's going to be an offer that we give that only is available for the people in that room. That is a scarcity. There's a benefit, right, to sharing a sense of scarcity. Human beings react to that. And then fulfillment. How is this thing that you have, this product or service, going to actually improve the quality of their life, make them happier, make them more joyful? If you can speak to those things, that's why people buy stuff. Okay, so here's my 4-step sales process, and probably be done here in maybe 5 minutes. So 4 steps to any sales process. And by sales process, I mean, like, this is literally what you can say on a sales call. You could write down these 4 questions, have them on a piece of paper in front of you every single call, and say, I have found, we only have 30 minutes. So I have found, Sally, that the best way that I can help you and the fastest way I can help you is to ask you my some 4 questions that I have in front of me. Would that be all right if I asked you 4 questions? It'll probably take us about 20 minutes. And she'll say, absolutely. So notice one of the things I did there was get permission. That's a really great sales tip. Okay. So show and having 4 questions also shows them you've got some strategy. Like you're not just flying by the seat of your pants. You've got 4 questions that maximize their time. Like what a gift to give them, right? Okay. So first question you want to do, and I call this 4-step process, mind the gap. And the gap, before we jump in, the gap is the gap between where your client is and where they want to be. In between is the gap. And you want to identify where's the gap. So my client might be, I'm making 20 grand a year and I want to make 200 grand. So the gap is 180 grand, right? The gap is, I want to start a business. I don't have a clue how. So I'm here and I want to end with a business. The gap is, how do I create a business? The gap is, you see the point, right? I'm this weight. I want to lose 20 pounds. So the gap is from where I am to where I want to be. So your first step is to help your client identify their gap and understand it for yourself. So you can ask them, what are you trying to accomplish this year? Or what do you think you would need to double your business this year? There is psychological research that shows when you help the brain identify a time period or a quantity of something, it's much easier for the brain to grasp that concept. So notice I didn't ask, so tell me, what do you want to accomplish in your business? That's too broad. Okay. What kind of success do you want in your business? I want a successful business. Well, what does that look like? So helping them understand, like in the next 6 months, what would you like to accomplish with your health? In the next 6 months, what kind of income would you like to be bringing in for your family? Okay. What do you think it would take? Like, what do you think it would take to make that, to double your income from where you are right now, or to double your happiness, or to achieve whatever they're trying to achieve, okay? The second step is, I want you to psychologically widen the gap for that person. And this is what I mean by this. I want you to help your client, your prospect, see how that gap is causing problems and pain in their life. So you can ask this question: what strategies have you already tried to improve your business that worked and that didn't work? The answer to this is marketing gold, by the way. So you can use this in your sales pages and your email copy, but you want them to say and tell you what they've already tried. Because what they've already tried is helping them and you identify and widen the gap. Oh my gosh, I've tried this. I've already spent $75,000 on other coaches that haven't gotten me anywhere. My husband, right? My husband's annoyed, wants me to go back to work, right? This is what I've done. This is what I've done that works. Okay, you're going to ask them, like, widen that gap. The next step I call bridge the gap. You are the bridge, by the way. So your client's here, they want to be here, there's a gap. You are the bridge. Your solution, your product, your business, your service is the bridge. It's like, dun, 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 you've come to the rescue. Like, thank God you're the bridge. Thank God the bridge has arrived so they can reach the other side. So what I do, and I would suggest you do this, is just first, at this stage in your call, summarize everything you've heard. So if I were to summarize what I heard you say, it would be, you've tried, hiring lots of coaches. What I'm hearing you say is, you've spent a lot of money. Your husband's getting frustrated, kind of on the verge of asking you to go back to work, which is what you don't want to do because of this stress. You're kind of snapping at your children, and it's just kind of stressful. But you have this dream to build this thing, and they're going to say, yeah. And then what I would do, the good therapist in me, is validate how hard they've worked so far. And this is, again, kind of stroking the ego a little bit, right? But it's true. It's like, really validate. Wow, here you are, you've tried all these coaches and you're on the phone with me. Like, that says a lot about you. So that's something I would actually say on a sales call. I really want to acknowledge how hard you've been trying. And I really want to acknowledge that I think it's really, really awesome that you're a person that seeks mentoring and seeks support, or that you're on this call, or that you're open to trying something new, or you're on the phone with kind of a perfect stranger and you're looking at exploring something new for your life, right? And this is the question you want to ask to bridge the gap. what would it mean to you to finally remove these obstacles and reach your goal? And they will tell you. They will tell you, and what they're going to answer here is their aspirations, their dreams. They're going to say, oh my gosh, it would mean everything. I'll give you an example, right? They would say, well, my husband would be relieved and he wouldn't, he would understand, we'd bring money in and it would bring peace to the family. And I would feel like I accomplished something and I would actually be enjoying my days and I wouldn't be barking at the children and I'd be able to, have money to spend on self-care and I would get my health back in line or whatever it would be, right? So you want to help them understand like, wow, I really need that gap to be closed. And the last step, my friends, is close the gap. And I literally want you to practice saying these words. I can help you with that. Would it be okay if I shared it with you? I can help you with that. Would it be okay if I shared a little bit about my coaching with you? And they will say, absolutely. And then you will proceed to tell them how your services help people just like them and how it can help them. And yes, you have to believe in your services or your product so much that, Dean Graziosi said this once at a conference I was at with Brendan Burchard. He said, you've got to believe in your stuff so much that there's only two solutions if people don't buy from you. The first option is they go with someone else and that someone else is not as good as you. Or they don't get any help at all. And in that case, they're still in the bad position they were at. So both options are bad. And he said, if you don't believe in what you're offering that much, you've got to either figure out how to get your mindset around that, or you've got to try something new. You've got to be on something new, because if you don't believe in it that much, no one else is going to. And it's your responsibility to believe in your thing that much, that there's only two options if people don't go with you. Either they go with something that's lesser, or they don't do anything at all and they don't help themselves. And so both are bad. So I just loved that. So I will wrap up here. I have a free sales script. It's basically what we just went over there. You can text the word sales to this fancy, fun little number that we just figured out. And it is AMPed 77330. So you're going to find the numbers that correspond with AMPed, and those numbers are there, right there for you. But thank you so much for being here. And I'm going to open it up right now. If there's any questions, I'm going to unmute everybody. Does anyone have any questions before we end our recording?
Oh, I guess that I do. Thank you. It's nice to see you. Can you hear me?
Okay, everybody. I think I don't hear any questions, so I'm going to stop the recording there. And thank you so much for being here today. And I hope you all have a great day. I would love to hear what you got out of this, what your next takeaways and steps are. And that would be awesome. Maybe you can pop in the Inner Circle Facebook group and share that with us. But thank you, everybody.
Thank you.